just before the world was hit by COVID. One dog died because it was 12 years old. So I had another dog that was still 2 years old that died a month later. So that was one time in my life that I didn't have any dog. That didn't last long. Within 2 days, I got a new puppy. And 2 weeks later, the world was hit by COVID. But then we had a puppy, we had 4 teenagers, and everybody was locked down in the house. It was really important that I started to involve the kids into the puppy training. So we played lots of games where the dog always had a choice. And a dog will always do what brings the dog the most. So it really changed for me so many things that I started to bring it out and share it with other dog owners and say, okay, if I look to this behavior and I ask myself, why is my dog doing this? Then it opens up for me an opportunity to support my dog instead of control my dog.
Welcome to the Pathways to Wellbeing podcast. Of course, my name's Sophia Soul from Sacred You, and I have the honour today and the real excitement of chatting to the beautiful Arianne, who is here. We're going to have an interesting conversation, Arianne, all about being the change, being inspiring or connecting to our pets, our dogs.
Yes, I'm super excited and thank you for inviting me here because there is no better way than to spread the words on podcasts.
I know it is. So like I said, it's a little bit of a different conversation today for me, but really interesting because like I was chatting with you before, that I live in a space where we have 6 dogs. So I'd love to know, first of all, let's find out a little bit about you. Tell us about you and how you got into this incredible work of working and communicating with dogs, with your
Yeah.
pets.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Arianne de Rond. I'm originally from the Netherlands. I emigrated 12 years ago with my family. We have 4 kids. Right now, they are all teenagers. And we had at that time 2 dogs, and we right now have 3 dogs. So they're not the same dogs anymore. We changed some dogs, and that is part of my journey. My kids taught me a lot, especially as teenagers, in their behavior and how we, with our responses, how we can inspire them instead of control. But also, if you look all over my life, that I had different dogs and they always came on certain times to learn me. And the moment I started to wake up to see what they can teach me and how their behavior changes if I change, then there was a whole new world opening for me. And so it is the combinations with all the dogs that I had, the work that I did as a dog trainer. I am an animal communicator as well. I combined everything and I started to explore. I think there's more lessons than we know that they can teach us. And if we apply those lessons to our life right now in this world, we can make huge changes just because they do everything out of love.
They don't.
They absolutely do. They never judge you. They never have a long time that they have certain thoughts about you, right? If you go out of your door and you come back, if it's 5 minutes or if it's 5 hours, they are happy, right? It doesn't matter for a dog how you react because they always will respond back to you with empathy, with compassion, with love. So let's do that a little bit more and we can learn from them.
Totally, no. Totally agree with you. Animals, especially dogs, but I think all animals too, they really are just full of love. There is
Yes.
judgment. They really just love people, love us unconditionally. And I love it how you talk about how you learn so much, because they are here to teach us when we
Yes.
really connect with them. So thank you for sharing that. And I'd love to know, Ariana, what kind of like really inspired you to start to focus on inspiring rather than controlling with your relationships with your dogs and other animals?
Yeah, I had one time in my life, just before the world was hit by COVID, that one dog died because it was 12 years old. So it was old. So I had another dog that was still 2 years old that died a month later. So there was one time in my life that I didn't have any dog. That didn't last long. Luckily, we had within 2 days, I got a new puppy. And 2 weeks later, the world was hit by COVID. So at that time we had still a couple teenagers, not all of them. But then we had a puppy, we had 4 teenagers, and everybody was locked down in the house. So it was a time where we needed to, and we live in the country, like we are blessed where we live that we can go outside and we can do a lot of things still. But if you have a puppy, there is some training that you need to start doing. And for me, it was really important that I started to involve the kids into the puppy training, because that would be the only thing that these days that made them happy. So they started to connect with the puppy in a different way. And I learned them to inspire instead of control and see how the dog reacts. So we played lots of games where the dog always had a choice. And a dog will always do what brings the dog the most. That could be attention, that could be rewards, that could be whatever. And it's the same with kids, right? But if kids learn dog, then at that time it starts to connect on a natural way. So that was the base for me where I opened up my eyes and thought, you know what? If we have more fun, we see the world in a different way, we can get way farther than we do right now. So that was the big change. And in Canada, we had a long time that we couldn't go to school if there was no vaccines or mask or whatever. So my kids were about 2.5 years at home.
Mhm.
So in that time, we had the puppy who started to grow bigger that was taught all those lessons and started to learn those lessons back to them and to me. So it really changed for me so many things that I started to bring it out and share it with other dog owners. And when I started to share it and people start to see the other perspective and see things from the dog's perspective, why the dog does the things, then it was easier to change and say, okay, if I look to this behavior and I ask myself, why is my dog doing this? Then it opens up for me an opportunity to support my dog instead of control my dog. And very often, the dog is showing us that it might be scared, it might be not so confident in a situation. And it only, with the behavior, it asks for help. And we think that they try to be mean to us, but a dog is never mean to us. They just ask for help. So if we start to see that and we help the dog and support the dog, we can make huge changes in the behavior, because now we build the confidence in the dog instead of, I want you to do the things for me. And they do it because they are afraid of you.
Thank you for sharing that. When we get to a stage where dogs are afraid of us, but the wonderful thing is we can transform that. We can turn that around. And
Yes.
underneath everything, dogs are still very loving and incredibly forgiving.
Yes. Yes. And that's why people who take dogs from shelters, they need to know that those dogs are there because there is some healing necessary. And as long as we know that and we are not afraid to give time and the patience to build that trust back, we can have great dogs.
And that's the healing for both, for the animals and for ourselves, because it's
Yeah, I love that what you say, because it's the healing for both, because
both.
the people who look for a dog connect energetically with a dog who feels the same way.
Yes,
So it's always healing together. It's never just the dog.
exactly. Exactly right. You know, people come into our lives for a specific reason, but so do animals.
Yes,
And
yes. I love that you to say that, because that's really important, that we attract the dog that we need to become a better person.
absolutely and totally. And I'd love to know, Ariane, with your training dogs, what parallels do you see
Yeah,
between
the
training dogs and ourselves, our personal self-development?
Yes. So I love that you asked that, because a lot of people still think that I'm training the dog, but I'm not training the dog, because the dog doesn't need any training. It is us that need the training. So I am not working directly with the dog, but I'm directly working with the dog owner to transform their behavior. And the dog will respond, will mirror right away back if we do it well or not. So any step you do in your journey, your dog will respond with how you're doing it.
They will totally. Totally. Can I ask you, Ariane, one thing that is on my mind, can we go back to what you were talking about, COVID, how you were with COVID and you had 4 teenagers at home and a puppy? I'd love to know from that experience, and also even now, how did having a puppy during COVID help you and your family really survive, like with the well-being? What is it with animals that really help us as people really empower or contribute to our well-being?
I love that. Thank you for asking, because as human, we are always trying to find the right words to express ourselves. A dog doesn't need any words. So having an animal in your life, whatever situation you are, but having an animal in your life, and especially dogs, they will feel your emotions. They will feel at what level you are, even if you try to hide it. And that's really important, because we are taught by this world that we're not allowed to feel anymore, right? We're not allowed to feel anger. We're not allowed to feel love. We're not allowed to feel uncertainty or things like that. But a dog, they don't need the words. They just feel you where you are, and they don't want to change you. They just sit with you. And they sit with you to let that emotion go through your body and evolve in something better. The best part of a dog is it doesn't judge you in any feelings, and then it wants to sit with you in the feeling, to let that feeling dissipate through you.
They do, don't they? They just sit there and wait and allow those things. They're very,
Yes,
very
that's
patient.
what we should do
Very,
way more. Yeah, we're so trained, like we're feeling angry. Okay, I'm not allowed to feel angry, so I am doing something different, so then I don't feel it, right? So if we sit with it, and that is one big thing that I learn people, just sit with your dog and feel it. It's okay, whatever feeling. There's so many emotions that we have, and there is not one wrong emotion. The emotions are there because that is the feeling that it comes up with the situation you are, and that's okay. It's the problem is that we try to hide it, that we try to not feel it.
Yes, as human beings, we are very well known for not feeling our emotion, where
Yeah. And
and animals are just so accepting.
yeah, yeah. And if I have right now 3 dogs and I just had a play outside in snow and they run around and sometimes they hurt each other, right? That happens if they play and then one yelps and then everybody stops and they sit with it. They sit with it. And then sometimes they start to do something else, or sometimes they sit with it and they start playing again. It's okay.
They're living in the moment
Yes.
and are
Yes.
able to let go of the past extremely quickly.
Yeah, they don't live in the past, but also not in the future, right? We make ourselves so crazy with all the expectations that we get from what we hope to get or what we want to reach. But they don't think that far. They just live now, and if they get food, they eat it, and if they don't get food, they wait for food. That's how easy it is, right?
They wait, sometimes patiently, sometimes not. And I'm just laughing because, like I said, I live with 6 dogs.
But also that if they don't wait patiently, then it is a behavior that is triggered by our reactions.
We have a wonderful dog here. Her name's Angel, and she's 13 years old. She's completely blind now. But about 2 hours, even sometimes 2 to 3 hours before their scheduled dinner time, about 2 hours, she starts to tell you that
Yes.
it's dinner time, and she just lays there. She knows where they're going to be, and she just lays there for 2 hours, and it's like, it's dinner time, don't forget to feed me. And it's really, you can really see, and you really laugh, like you can really, sometimes it'd be amazing to see what they're actually thinking. And it's like, I'm looking at the clock, it's dinner time. And to me, it's dinner time. It's dinner time.
But that is the human part in it,
Yeah.
is that we relate the clock to it. But the dog is literally reading a pattern that we have during the day. And the pattern is not the clock. That's what we tell us.
Yeah.
But the pattern, so the pattern tells the dog, oh, now that is coming, or now that is coming, now that is coming. So what the dog actually does is that if we open ourselves up, they reveal the patterns that we have that they turned around in the behavior that they give.
They're very much like that, aren't they? Extremely like that. I think a lot of animals are. A lot of animals
Yeah,
that
yeah, lots of people. Yeah,
they
lots of
on time, but they know the patterns.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, and it's so funny because I had 4 kids and I had 4 kids in 5 years, so they were very close to each other. But when they were younger, it was so funny that we had dinner at night, then we did bath time, and then we went to bed, and then it was sleep. It was such a routine that anytime when I needed to go away an hour earlier or something, I just organized the whole pattern an hour earlier. So I could trick the kids really easy by just doing the pattern, but on a different time. And that's the same way with dogs. And it doesn't work anymore when they start to watch the clock themselves, right? It's also, but before that, it's easy. It's the way how it works. Everything works in patterns. And the dog will reveal the patterns that we have. And that's how what the behavior they give is the expectations that they get from our patterns.
Totally. Thank you for sharing that. Because when we really can connect with dogs and watch that, we learn so very much. And that's with everything. And for just going on from my personal experience, we also have a couple of dogs here that have become very scared of storms because when they were very young, the person that brought them up was scared of storms. Right.
Yeah.
And now
So
that
what happens then is that our behavior, the emotions, the feelings, the energy that we have starts to vibrate outside and will be picked up by the dog and say, oh, okay, so if this happens, there is a scary energy coming, so I need to hide or I need to be away. So that is how easy. So if a puppy comes in a new pack with dogs, it's easy that they start to pick up the patterns of the other dogs, right?
Extremely easy. Like they pick it up like that.
Yeah. And sometimes that's good because sometimes they're the good behaviors, but they don't choose which behavior they do. They do all of them. Also the not so good.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. They pick up everything and very quickly,
Yes.
extremely quickly. So you do have to be aware of that if there's any behaviors that aren't the best when you've got pups around, because they're going to learn that very quickly and continue to pass it on. So yes.
And that is so important as well. If people have more than one dog, we always tell them, make sure that you spend time one-on-one with the dog as well, and not always in a pack, because then the dog will not see you as leader, but the other dog.
But you really have to spend time individually.
Some people take more than one dog just because it's easy and it's good for the other dogs. But actually, two dogs are in need of 2 times as much time from you.
So let's talk about that if we can, because dogs in generally are pack animals, generally,
Yes.
right? In the wild, they're pack animals. What's the difference in your experience with dogs' personalities and everything else for dogs that live with other dogs that are in a pack, whether it's one or a lot, compared to the dogs that are all by themselves? Is it really okay for a dog to be left by themselves?
Yeah, it's no problem. It's no problem as long as you are the pack leader. So you need to spend time with the dog. You cannot have a dog and leave him all day, every day on its own, because that is not natural behavior for the dog. So the dog wants to spend time with you. So if you're not able to spend time with your dog, then ask yourself, am I doing this for the dog or am I doing this for just me?
And a lot of the times it's just me. We
I
get
know.
animals, and this is a generalization, and I'm sure you've experienced this too. People get animals for themselves without
Yes.
really taking into consideration all the care that they need, all the loving, all the companionship that they need as well.
Or all the lessons.
All the lessons and everything else. Yes. And speaking of lessons, how can dogs teach us to be more present?
Dogs cannot teach us anything if we are not opening up to be taught. That's a really big thing. And I learned that myself with people too. If people are not open to learn, then you can try to push lots of lessons through it. It will not work. So we can only learn when we are open. And I always like to add to it, open and curious. And if we're open and curious, we can learn just by seeing how the dog's behavior is in certain circumstances. And it starts already when we wake up, right? When we wake up, if a dog wakes up, what do you see first? If they lay down, they sleep, and they wake up, the first thing what they do is stretching. They wake up the body by stretching. That's a good thing for us to do as well. And then after the stretching, they go for a walk, they become active, right? And then in our world, we feed them. And then they have a sleep again, or they play or whatever, right? But dogs sleep a lot. So we still, even if we have a dog, we still have lots of time that we can spend to other things than the dog, because your dog needs sleep. But
Sleep lots.
yeah, but not just sleep. Some people think that even if they have a puppy, that's a puppy of a week old, they put in a crate and then all day they work and then they expect the dog to behave. But the dog is never taught to be on its own and be confident that their owners are still coming back, right? So we can learn from the dogs by looking at them, and when they do a certain behavior, let's ask what would be the reason why the dog does that. So, for example, a dog is barking in front of the window. We can be frustrated because we don't want the noise or we don't want what all the barking that they do. But what are they actually doing? Maybe they are protecting the property. Maybe they want to let you know there somebody's there. I don't know. There could be many reasons. But if we start to explore why your dog is doing it, then you can support your dog. So if your dog is barking and you start to bark at your dog and tell him that he needs to stop, your dog thinks, oh, that's great. You are barking too. I guess we do this more. But if we start to say your dog is barking, you say there's nothing, and you just do something else again, your dog is like, oh, that wasn't fun. Why would I do that again?
Interesting, isn't it? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's
It's okay.
really interesting because the normal reaction of humans is to yell at dogs, right?
I
But
know.
then dogs, this is the first time that I'm realizing this, so thank you so much for sharing that. And the dog can take that as that the humans are barking, so they're going to continue.
You're actually being the barking because you're doing it too. So I guess you like what I'm doing, right?
So they continue to bark.
That's literally what it is. So start to explore if there is a behavior from your dog that you don't like. Start to explore what would be the reason why your dog is doing it. Can you try to see it from the dog's perspective? And it can be coming really funny things coming up there.
It would be amazing, absolutely amazing to really go into this and to really sit down and to watch the personalities of dogs, because dogs have all different personalities too. They have
Yes.
their own personalities. I see
They are as unique as we are. They are as well.
very unique, extremely unique, and have been through their own journey. And it's incredible to see. You know, when you have quite a few dogs, I said I live with 6, and my God, the different personalities that come out. And the different, even if there is the alpha male, but even with the female dogs, it's like the more dominant ones and everything. It's incredible.
But now can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So you have so many dogs around you. How you I bet you have with certain dogs a more special relationship than with others, right?
Because I live in the house that has the 6 dogs,
Right.
so I'm not with
But it
them
doesn't matter.
all the time. But when I see them, yes, because of their different ages.
But it's not just the age, it's also the personality. So what you attract to a dog in personality is a thing that is important for you as well. Right? So if so you can see that a lot. I don't know if you have ever seen, but pictures from dogs and dog owners and how much they look alike, right?
Oh, isn't it incredible?
Yeah, but what is that we attract to what we think is important in a dog. So if you have so many dogs around you, you get certain dogs that you have a more special relationship with than other dogs.
Yeah.
And that's okay because we have as much of unique dogs, we have a lot of unique people as well.
We have absolutely and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd love to know, Adriana, what is your most memorable experience as an animal communicator? I'd love to know with that when When you're really connecting with animals, what's one of your most memorable experiences?
The most memorable experiences are the experiences where dogs surrender themselves with death. So we want to fix the dogs because we don't want to let go. And it's so very often that the dogs are ready. But that's also the hardest message to give people. Your dog is okay. Your dog is ready.
How do we know, besides being able to communicate with them, like yourself, but for people who don't communicate, how do we know? And do we really just let time go past, right? And that the dogs will die when they're ready? Or is euthanasia a really good thing for animals that are suffering? And do we think that they're suffering?
I always invite people to explore their own intuition. But I can tell you as well that I did euthanasia on certain dogs, and especially the weeks after, I'm still second guessing myself. Was it the best thing to do? I don't know. But if I really learn to listen to your own intuition, and everyone has it, and I love to sit with my dog and literally listen without the words to, is my dog okay where it is right now? So I cannot make the decision of euthanasia, yes or no, but we should learn to listen that we want to fix the dog very often because we cannot let go. But in nature, that is not the way how it goes. Sometimes it's not also the euthanasia, but sometimes it's just not trying to fix it.
If it's the time for the dog to go, then it's the time.
Yes.
And we do.
Yes. And I always tell people, if you really trust your connection with your dog, it's right. And of course, our ego comes in and says, I don't know, was it the right thing? Your ego will play with you, but listen to your heart. Listen, and that's with everything. It's not just death, it's with any illness. And it's even if we have behavior issues that we don't know what to do, go sit with your dog. Go sit with your dog and listen to the words that are not said. Listen to the feelings that you get with it, because your dog is communicating with you, with everyone.
They definitely communicate. I would pretty much believe that they would think is this person being stupid? Like, why aren't you listening?
But yeah, we know that the energy, the feelings, the emotions that we have are vibrating around us in a circle of 9 meters. So you can imagine that if a dog doesn't have to touch us, but even if it's in that circle around us, it can feel everything. But if we open up our hearts, we can feel them too.
Totally, totally. And I'd love to know more, like, how do our pets' behavior really mirror our own? So how can understanding our pets' behavior mirror our own emotional state?
How we perceive the world around us is how we think about the things. If we are in a sad emotion, then we see all sadness around us. It's a great example if you go on social media, for example, Facebook, right? And there's sometimes people said to me like, oh, I only see sadness and mean things on Facebook. And I'm always like, I don't know, I never see that. So what even social media mirrors back to you is what you feel, where you are at. So that is what our dogs do as well. They are part of our environment. They mirror back who we are. So if we are sad, our dogs will sit with us in compassion and will not try to play with you because you're sad, right? But also, if we are scared in situations, yeah, they feel that, and it can go turn two things. It can become that they become scared as well, or they step up and take the leader role and they say, if you're scared, I need to be the hero. So I need to protect you. So that can happen too. So a lot of dogs these days in the world are reactive dogs. That reactive behavior comes from our emotions.
Totally. Isn't it incredible how they can really feel our emotions?
Yes. Yes.
So, so very much.
Yeah, and so what I do with the personal development course, like I have a 12-week course where I use the connection that we have with the dog as our greatest mirror, and where we can play and try things out with how we react and how the dog reacts it back. It is the best way to learn in a non-judgmental environment where love is the highest frequency in there. So if we make mistakes, if we go wrong, if even if we're mean to our dogs, yeah, your dog is still there. It will not run away. It's still there. So we can learn in an environment where the dog is a big part. We can learn way quicker because they teach us if we do it right or not.
Very good teachers. Very good teachers when we really can just stop and listen and
Yes.
watch them and tune into them. They have some incredible lessons for us to learn, and including on so much compassion and trust,
Yes.
loyalty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and they bring it back to our patterns. So if we change our patterns, we can change the behavior of the dog. And if we can change it with the relationship with the dog, if we become really good in building that connection based on love, joy, and trust, we can do that in any other relationship that you have as well. The dog is just a teacher. Now you can do it in the real world with your family, your kids, your spouse, your business. You can do it with anybody.
you certainly can, can't you? Thank you. Thank you ever so much. And can I just take a moment, Adriana, just to really honor you, just to do that, because it takes someone very special who's able to connect and communicate with animals and help others. Most in today's world, most people, this is a generalization, we are too busy and we don't really care that much. Okay, total generalization. So I just really like to acknowledge you and to really honor you for the gifts that you're bringing to the world and to animals all over the world. So talking about animals all over the world, and I know you've got some books which we're going to go into, but you can connect with people all over the world. You can help other people with their animals and communicating.
Yes, I'm working online the same way as we do now. We have weekly coaching calls, and we are right away reflecting with playgrounds how you do with the dog as well, or what is the dog telling you how you're doing. So, yes, everything is online. I can speak English and Dutch, so I can do it anywhere where we can speak that language. Yeah.
Well, thank you. And we will be putting all your links below in this
Yeah.
video and podcast. So do click on, for everyone who is watching, do click on the links below.
Yes, please do. And there is on the website, there is an opportunity that you can connect. You can go to the newsletter, but you can also connect. So please send me a message if you want to reach out and want to know more. There is a lot. I wrote a book as well. So here is the book, Be the Change for Your Dog. It's such an eye opener in a relationship with your dog instead of blaming where they are, just start and take responsibility for your behavior in that connection, because every behavior from your dog comes from you. But that also means you are the one who can change it.
That is so very true. I love it how you say every behavior starts with us.
Yes, definitely.
That's very true. And I'd love to know, before we wrap up, what advice do you have for those who are, struggling to find that connection with themselves, but also with their animal? What advice would you give?
My word for 2024 was trust. And I learned so much about trust over the last year. Dogs or animals are the best in showing you if they can trust you or not. So open yourself up and choose trust, and your relationship will already improve right away.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Now, is there anything else that you would like to mention? I know we could be here for quite a while and I'd love for you to come back, but is there anything else that you would like to mention about this whole thing about communicating ourselves, becoming a leader in our lives, and also leading our dogs, our animals, with that trust and unconditional love?
Yeah, thank you. You can find me on Facebook, Arianne de Rond. I am a little bit on Instagram as well. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a website, www.joyfulsupport.com, where you can find a lot of what I do. And please reach out. I would love to connect with you if you are not sure about certain things in your relationship with the dog, because it might help you to reveal something that you have never thought about, but your dog knew already. So
That
my mission is really, I am changing this world with one dog at a time.
I love that.
So thank you for all those dogs that bring you here.
Thank you. And again, thank you for doing that, for changing the world just one dog at a time, because that's all it makes. It's the ripple effect. Thank you ever so much. It's been a joy to speak to you, Adriana. It really has been. And like I said, for everyone who is watching, do click on those links below and reach out to Adriana, who can help you with your relationship, with your connection with yourself, and with any animals, any dogs that you may own.
Yeah. And don't think that I am judging, because I'm just like your dog. I'm just listening and helping you to support. I might ask you certain questions, but that's not because, but I just want you to go a little bit deeper. So just like your dog, I really hope that when you come and connect with me, that you feel that trust, love, and joy that I value so much.
Thank you, really, thank you. It has been an absolute honor and pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. And it was like, I love to come back. It is so wonderful to connect with those intuitive dog owners that are on that edge, that I am curious, but I don't know what is more there. So that's the one that we're looking for.
Thank you, and enjoy your life with the most incredible animals, the most incredible beings on this planet. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Sophia, and keep doing this, because it's such a pleasure to be on your platform with your audience. And I'm sure there's many dog owners here too.
Yeah, thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
What an incredible and inspiring conversation with Adriana. If you'd like to know more about how you can work with your dog, do click on the links below and reach out to Adriana, who can help you so much with communicating and how we can learn from our animals. If you have enjoyed today's conversation, please show your support by giving us a like, hitting that subscribe button, or even sharing this episode with someone else who may have animals. Don't forget, you can explore more resources for personal growth, community, and connection by visiting our website at www.sacredu, that's the letter U, .love. Wherever you are in today's world, connect with your animals. Really, truly love them and allow yourself to receive their love. Have a beautiful day, and we will see you next time.